The Netherlands is one of the most popular countries in Europe, so much so that people from all around the world dream of living there or spending their holidays in this small but fascinating nation. Despite covering only about 141,000 kilometers, roughly the same size as Turkey's Cape province, the Netherlands is home to nearly 18 million people, about the same as Istanbul. Its capital, Amsterdam, is one of the world's most iconic cities, instantly coming to mind whenever the country is mentioned. For visitors, no trip to the Netherlands is complete without experiencing Amsterdam. Geographically, the Netherlands is bordered by the North Sea to the north and west, Belgium to the south, and Germany to the east. Thanks to Europe's seamless train network, residents often cross into Belgium or Germany with ease. You can enjoy breakfast in Amsterdam and dinner in Brussels on the very same day. Culturally, the Dutch are known for being open-minded and relaxed. First-time visitors often hear the country described as the land of freedom. And indeed, from freedom of expression to same-sex marriage, Dutch society embraces a remarkable level of tolerance. Just don't be surprised if what you find in a coffee shop isn't quite the same as an ordinary cafe elsewhere. One practical note: outside of Amsterdam, credit cards aren't as widely accepted as you might expect. Carrying some cash is often necessary, and while the Dutch value comfort, they are also remarkably disciplined and well-educated. Ask anyone who's been, and you'll find that very few ever regret their time in the Netherlands. Safe, high in quality of life, and rich in fresh air. Though the weather can be a little gloomy, it's a country that leaves a lasting impression. Now, let's take a closer look at life in the Netherlands, exploring both the positives and the drawbacks, so you can decide for yourself whether it's a place you'd want to call home. One of the strongest aspects of Dutch life is job security. The Netherlands enjoys a stable economy, and workers rarely live with the fear of sudden layoffs. If you do your job well, it's unlikely you'll find yourself unemployed overnight. People can make long-term plans with confidence, whether buying a car, furnishing a home, or simply managing everyday expenses without constant worry about financial instability. In fact, whether you work in an office or collect recycling, you'll never go hungry in this country. Another advantage is location. For anyone with family in Turkey, the Netherlands is far more convenient than distant destinations like the US or UK. Flights are shorter, tickets are cheaper, and loved ones are never too far away. While someone in America might spend 12 hours just reaching Turkey, from Amsterdam it takes only 2 or 3. Plus, as a Dutch resident, you can freely travel across Europe without the hassle of visas. Security is another reason the Netherlands stands out, compared to countries like the United States where crime rates can be higher. The Netherlands is considered one of the safest nations in Europe. Population also plays a role in shaping life here. For those coming from crowded cities like Istanbul, Ankara, or Izmir, the calmer pace of Dutch towns can be a shock. But fewer people means less congestion, more order, and a more peaceful lifestyle. Families often have just 1 or 2 children, allowing parents to provide better education and opportunities, while the government faces fewer problems with traffic, unemployment, or crime. In fact, the balance of power between employers and employees is quite different. In the Netherlands, it's often the employer who needs the worker, not the other way around. Standard working hours are capped at 40 per week, and overtime must be fairly compensated. Job options are broad too. If you train in one profession but later decide to change fields, opportunities are available. People aren't forced to accept jobs they dislike just to survive. The Dutch labor system also includes generous benefits. For example, if a company sponsors your move to the Netherlands, the government applies what's known as the 30% rule, meaning 30% of your income is tax-free. This makes a significant difference for foreign workers. On top of that, every full-time employee enjoys a minimum of 28 paid vacation days per year. Another important point, my friends, is that in the Netherlands, people have strong purchasing power when it comes to basic necessities, especially meat and dairy products. No matter what kind of job you do, you can buy groceries from any supermarket you like without having to chase after the cheapest brands. And here's something that might surprise you. Even simple things like tomatoes, cucumbers, or milk taste different, often fresher and richer than what you may be used to. Research has actually confirmed that Dutch produce has a higher nutritional value compared to many other countries. Think about it. The Netherlands, a country about the size of Kenya in Turkey, manages to export food to the whole world. With advanced technology and efficient farming, they produce crops that taste truly exceptional. It may sound like a small detail, but when you can afford high-quality, flavorful food and actually enjoy it every day, it makes you feel genuinely happy. Access to good food doesn't just fill your stomach, it lifts your mood and makes daily life feel more satisfying. Another thing that makes the Netherlands special is its urban planning. Residential areas aren't randomly thrown together. If you have kids and wanted to take them to the park, or you simply want to go for a walk in nature, you don't need to travel far. Almost every neighborhood has its own green space or park right nearby. Unlike in many other places, people don't all crowd into one small park in the city center. In Dutch cities, you don't have to wait in line for your child to use a swing, and you don't get stuck in crowds just to enjoy some fresh air. Parks are everywhere, and you can usually reach them on foot within a few minutes. This shows how much the Dutch respect nature. Houses are neatly arranged, and you rarely see chaotic layouts, sharp corners, or overly narrow streets between buildings. The architecture of Dutch cities is another highlight. Not only are the buildings charming, but they're also carefully planned, giving every corner of the country a picture-perfect quality. Speaking of order, the Netherlands has some of the most extensive cycling networks in the world. No matter which city you live in, there are dedicated bike lanes everywhere, and people use bicycles even more than you might imagine. Now, you might be wondering about the language barrier. The official language is Dutch, of course, not English. But here's the thing. Unlike in Germany, where German is eventually essential, or in France, where French is a must, in the Netherlands, you can get by perfectly well with English, whether you're looking for work, making friends, or just living your daily life. Good English is more than enough. From police officers to barbers, nearly everyone speaks it fluently. But what about the downsides? Well, the weather is one of them. While the air is fresh and clean, it rains a lot. Sometimes even in summer, skies are often cloudy, and this can make it hard for people to plan outdoor activities. Even a sunny day can quickly turn into a rainy one, catching everyone off guard. Because of this, Dutch streets often aren't very crowded. People prefer to stay home, always keeping in mind that it might rain at any moment. Another issue is finding skilled tradespeople. Whether you need help with furniture delivery, fixing a leaky roof, or repairing a broken fence, it can be surprisingly difficult to find a good craftsman here. In fact, many people end up watching YouTube tutorials and trying to fix things themselves. Transportation is another challenge, especially if you work night shifts. If you finish work late at night, say around 10 or 11 p.m., public transport might not be available, particularly outside of Amsterdam and smaller towns. And even when it's running, transportation isn't cheap. A simple Buser tram ride can cost $4 to $5, which is why many people find bicycles a much more affordable alternative. And while we've mentioned the abundance of green spaces, this also comes with a downside. Insects, flies, spiders, and other small creatures are everywhere. Local governments don't remove them because Dutch society sees them as part of the natural ecosystem. So if you live here, you'll need to get used to sharing your environment with them. Then there's the cultural side. For example, you might rent a house with a nice garden, only to discover that your neighbors are hosting cannabis party next door. It's also very common to have LGBTQ+ couples living nearby. The question is, if you're moving here with your family, can you tolerate this environment? That's something to think about before relocating. On top of that, housing costs have risen dramatically in recent years. As of 2025, rents in cities like Amsterdam can range from $300 to over $900 for a modest two-bedroom apartment. Utilities, like electricity and gas, are also costly, with families paying around $175 to $450 a month, plus another $150 to $200 for water and internet. Depending on your package and usage, healthcare requires as mandatory insurance, which costs about $120 per month per person. And when you add up all the expenses, rent, utilities, groceries, transport, and the occasional meal out, a family of two can easily spend more than $2,500 a month. The minimum wage is just under 500 gross. Of course, that doesn't mean life is impossible here. It just means that living comfortably without cutting corners requires careful budgeting. As a US citizen, you can enter the Netherlands without a visa for visits of up to 90 days, as long as you meet the standard entry requirements. You must have a passport that is valid for at least 3 months beyond your planned departure date. Border officials may request a passport with 2 blank pages and proof of financial means during your stay, which can be shown through personal funds or sponsorship. If you plan to work, you will need a residence permit. For travelers coming from another EU or EA country or from Switzerland, the entry process is more straightforward. You only need a valid passport or national ID and may stay for up to 3 months without any additional permissions. If you wish to stay longer, for reasons such as work, study, or joining a family, you will typically need to register your address and demonstrate that you are employed, studying with sufficient funds. This brings us to the end of the video. Until next time, goodbye.